So this next piece combines Lo How a Rose Air Blooming with two different versions of Away in a Manger. And it's arranged by Bill Walliver, who, if you also are reading the program, you can probably tell is one of my favorite arrangers. So people are still combining music just like they did way back in the 1600s, just in a little bit more of a familiar way. Hope you enjoy this rendition of Lo How a Rose and two different versions of Away in a Manger. Thank you. we're going to stay with the theme of Away in a Manger, which the hymn is sung to several different tunes. One of them was written Away in a Manger and then subtitled Luther's Cradle Song. Although it had absolutely nothing to do with Martin Luther, it was just a scheme to sell more copies of it. And this next arrangement is going to be combined with the Coventry Carol. So Coventry is a town in England, and back in the 1500s when everything was in Latin in the church, they realized that most of the people didn't really know anything about what was actually in the Bible. And so that during the Christmas season, they would put on different plays that would enact the different stories from the Bible. And this is one of the oldest surviving songs from one of those plays. And it talks about the time when Herod decided to kill lots of babies when he was trying to kill Jesus. I know, really pleasant stuff here. And when they were escaped that by going to Egypt. So the minor parts of this, the scary, sad parts, is the Coventry Carol, and I'm sure you'll recognize the Away in the Manger parts. So I hope you enjoy this setting by Cindy Berry. Thank you. I'll be moving back to the organ for this next part. Most of you probably recognize Johann Pachelbel's name from his famous canon in D. And we're going to be playing something that's a little bit different from that. Again, it is based on a Christmas hymn tune from around the time of Martin Luther. So this one actually is related to Martin Luther. And in German, the name of the chorale tune is Von Himmel hoch da komm ich her, which is a wonderful mouthful that translates, "From heaven above, the Redeemer comes." Similar to the Praetorius piece, the Veni Redemptor Gentium that I performed earlier, the hymn tune is in the pedals, and the things that happen in the hands are a comment on the Christmas theme. And they sound like a little pastoral, so you can think of sheep bouncing around and hopefully going to visit the baby Jesus in the manger. I'll, again, first play the hymn tune for you so you can hear it, because you probably won't really hear it during the actual piece, and then play Johann Pachelbel's version. Thank you. This next piece has its origins as a French dance, also from the early 1500s, and then was stolen and given a words to it, and we may know it as Bring a Torch, Jeanette Isabella, or Love Has Come Down. We're actually going to be singing this on Christmas Eve here. And in Provençal, France, there is a tradition that children on their way to Christmas Eve services will have candles and sing this tune as they're bringing a torch to go see the baby Jesus and announcing that to everyone in the town. So I hope you enjoy this version of Bring a Torch, Jeanette Isabella, also by one of my more favorite Arrangers, Lynette Maynard. Thank you. This next piece is also originally a dance from France, which I didn't intend to say, but I like how it rhymes, where someone decided they liked the melody and then chose to turn it into a Christmas song by writing words to it. This time it was an Englishman in the 1800s, mid-1800s, who wrote the words to Ding Dong Merrily on High. But this is definitely a French dance tune, also from much, much earlier. So I hope you enjoy another version by Lynette Maynard, Ding Dong Merrily on High. Microphone ran away from me. Up next, we have another little mashup piece. This is It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. And this poem was written in 1849 by Edmund Sears, who was an American Unitarian minister. And at this time, we were in the Mexican-American War, and the Civil War was kind of on the horizon. People saw that coming. So it was not exactly the most pleasant time in America. And so he wrote this poem looking for peace and trying to encourage peace and cooperation. And then it was turned into a wonderful Christmas tune. And Lynette Maynard, again, combined this with something that I'm sure you're all familiar with. And this is a piece by J.S. Bach, Sheep May Safely Graze, which ironically, the piece is actually not a religious piece at all. It comes from a secular cantata and is literally about sheep grazing safely, not quite as much the idea of the Christian Good Shepherd that most of us have about it now. But it's a nice pastoral sound that combines really well with It Came Upon the Midnight Clear. Okay, we are going back to the organ and a little bit back in time. And this piece, Wie schön leuchtet der Morgenstern, in English translates to How Beautiful Shines the Morning Star. So think of the star that led the Magi to Jesus after he was born. And it's again based on a Lutheran chorale tune that I think was originally maybe a drinking song. But you we'll say folk song. And I'll play the tune first so you can hear it. And this one, I think you'll be able to hear how it relates a little bit more than the previous ones. And the setting of this is by Johann Christoph Bach. And you probably recognize Johann and Bach, but not the Christoph part. Most of us know Johann Sebastian. And Johann Christoph was actually Johann Sebastian's older cousin, and at the time was someone that Johann Sebastian looked up to and considered to be a greater composer than himself. And the function of this piece would have been as a chorale prelude, so it would have been an introduction of the chorale. So hopefully everyone would have recognized that it was coming up and cued them to be ready to sing and join as a congregation in the chorale tune that would come next. I'm going to reverse that because you probably don't know this chorale tune, and you don't have to sing weird words in German tonight. So I hope you enjoy this little two pieces by Johann Christoph Bach, the older cousin. Okay. We're going to go on to another piece that comes from an English Christmas play called The First Noel. So if you know the words to this, it tells the story of the birth of Jesus. And at the time, that's really the only way people actually learned what that was, since they didn't read Latin. And this is an arrangement by Mike Garson, who is a New Age pianist. So I hope you enjoy this version of The First Noel. Thank you. We're going to transition into something a little more secular and a little bit more upbeat. The next piece I'll be playing for you is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It was written in 1933 by J. Fred Coots and Haven Gillespie and was first performed on a radio show that I don't remember the name of. And it became so popular overnight that over 500,000 copies of sheet music was sold in the next several weeks. At that time, it was a little bit more common for people to buy their own music and play it in the parlor with the piano and get to know it, when buying recordings was a little bit less doable. Not everyone had something to play it on, a recording that is. So this is a jazzy version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's running away again. Up next, we have Here Comes Santa Claus. This was written by Gene Autry, and he was inspired by the Christmas parade in Hollywood in 1947 when he heard all of these kids screaming, "Here comes Santa Claus." So this next piece, the arranger quotes a little tune that I'll be playing soon afterwards. So listen for a little bit of jingle bells in this one. And I hope you enjoy Here Comes Santa Claus. So I promised you jingle bells, and that's up next. This was written by John Pierpont in the mid-1800s. He lived in Massachusetts, and at the time they actually had one-horse sleigh races near Medford, Massachusetts, and this inspired him. So it was really more of a winter tune initially, and then it's kind of been taken into a Christmas tune, and is one of everyone's favorite Christmas songs. And this is another jazzy version of it. So we're going back to Hollywood in 1933. And Sammy Cahn and Jewel Stein were really hot because it was the summertime. And so they decided, in order to feel a little bit more cool, they'd take their imagination and write a piece about snow. And thus, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow was born. So I hope you enjoy this little classic piece, lots of snowing. I've got two more pieces for you. This next one, we're returning to Bill Walliver, and this is his version of Go Tell It on the Mountain. No Christmas concert would be complete without Silent Night. This piece was originally, the lyrics was originally written by Father Joseph Mohr, who was a priest in Austria. And this was written in 15, which was right after all of the Napoleonic Wars, which had been going back and forth across Austria. So not exactly the happiest times. And he was looking for peace. And unfortunately, on Christmas Eve, the church had recently been flooded and the organ wasn't working anymore. So he got his friend Franz Gruber to write this piece for a Christmas Eve service to these words. And they did it with two guitarists and a vocalist. So I hope you enjoy this impressionistic version of Silent Night, Holy Night, again arranged by Bill Walliver. And thank you all for coming. I appreciate you being here in person. I don't know if the live stream ever worked, so oh well. Oh, it looks like it did. A big thank you to Tim Kennedy in the back, our running the live stream, our music director, and also to Dalton, who I should learn your last name, who's running the sound. Thank you. And a big thank you to Arvada United Methodist Church for hosting this. If you feel so inclined, we are accepting donations. Part of the donations go to support the music program here at Arvada United Methodist Church. So we'll end on a quiet note tonight.